In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Dear respected brothers, sisters, family, friends, colleagues, and distinguished guests, I greet each and every one of you all with peace. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Out of all the groups and organizations that I've spoken at, not only am I pleased to be in the midst of such a young, energetic group, but it's also a great pleasure of mine to be surrounded by such talented and motivational speakers. I would like to thank each and every one of you all for coming out and supporting our first annual Empowering Somali Youth Conference. But most importantly, I would like to thank all the young brothers and sisters across this beautiful nation and Canada for putting together such a successful conference. MashaAllah, I applaud your efforts. For those who said that the young generation, the forgotten generation, could not come together and organize such a beautiful, productive, and successful conference, for those who said that the young lack patriotic values when it comes to Somalia, for those who said, ilmaho Somalida Omer Koren, kuwaas diintooda iyo dhaqankooda way ka tageen, kuwaas waa baqasaaro, tonight is your answer. I was asked to speak with you all today about the role of our youth and the importance of education. Hopefully after this speech, you all will be inspired to go back and get involved in your communities and become the best of the best in whatever career path you may choose. When the word education comes up, it is very vital and dear to my heart as a first-generation immigrant. My mom, dad, 2 older brothers, and I came to the States when I was about 1.5 years. My 2 younger sisters were born here, so they have the advantage of running for president one day, if they desire. As a young immigrant, I took advantage of school programs and after-school activities. I struggled with 2 identities, being a Somali and American. I juggled 2 cultures and 2 languages. So with that being said, I'm a Muslim by religion, I'm a Somali by culture, and I'm an American by nationality. Nonetheless, my friends from school and the teachers were very supportive and welcoming. I am who I am today because of the sacrifices my parents made, especially my mother, the support of my family, especially my mom's 5 sisters. Without them, my mom would not have been able to raise me. I owe them nothing but gratitude. And last but not least, the level of education that America has offered to me and many, many immigrants. My story could have not been possible in any other nation, and I am pleading with you all to please take, I think it's better like this. I am pleading with you all to please take advantage of what America and its leaders have to offer to its youth. There are many children out there who are unfortunate to have what we all have here, and are dying to have just a percentage of what we have. Please do not take advantage of what you have, but rather hasten with it. Become the generation that inspires. If there is one thing that I would like to share with you all that America has taught me, is if you are willing to succeed in America, then America is willing to teach and give you success. Islam stresses knowledge, ilm, a lot. The first word brought down from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to the Prophet was read, iqra. Not kill, not persecute, not jihad, not violence, not fear, not hate. It was iqra. Read in the name of your Lord who has created you. Created a man from a clot. Read, for your Lord is most generous, who has taught the use of pen, taught man what he knows not. Islam uses peace and education over and over, whether it's in the Quran or the Hadith. Islam comes from the root word salam, which means peace. So without education, you cannot achieve peace. And without peace, you cannot achieve education. Education should be the fundamental tool that empowers every young Somalian here. If you want to become a lawyer, go for it. If you want to become a doctor, go for it. If you want to become a politician, may God be with you, but go for it. If you want to become a teacher or a nurse or anything, go for it. Whatever it might be, just become the best of the best. And always remember to have faith in Allah. Because Islam in itself teaches us that whatever we choose to become, that we put all our effort into it and treat everyone with the utmost respect and care ever, regardless of religion, gender, or race. Education does not discriminate, nor does it segregate, but rather it brings different minds, ideas, and wisdom to the table that will better enhance our lives, our community, and our country. One of my favorite African proverbs states, if you educate a man, you have educated a single individual. And if you educate a woman, you have educated an entire village. I cannot stress the importance of education more. If we want a better future for ourselves and even a better future for the upcoming generation, we must be willing to ingrain in our minds and their minds the importance of seeking and attaining knowledge. That, of course, does not exclude the honor of teaching it, because it is with knowledge that forth brings stability, peace, power, and success. And it is that fundamental belief that education shall be the foundation of your success. Like any Somali who lives within or without Somalia, I am deeply concerned for the well-being of my people. A country so homogeneous in its terms of its people shared identify, a common religion, a common language, a common culture, a common history. Yet we are a nation still caught up in violence, a nation that has lived in fear, violence, terror, poverty, and turmoil for nearly 2 decades now. During my senior thesis last year, I came to understand a land I abandoned a little over 20 years ago. A land where young boys would walk miles and miles to receive some type of formal education, or even bring food back home to their families. And in the midst of all this, risk the chances of being killed, while the small percentage of girls risk the chances of being raped due to a lack of government. A land where my family once called home has now turned into a battlefield. But I tend to always remind myself, فَإِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا, verily with every difficulty there is relief. With all this being said, I still have hope. I have hope in a generation that will answer the call. Today, I have hope in a forgotten generation. I have hope in a generation that will not judge an individual because of his or her clan or tribal affiliations, but by the content of their character. I have hope. I have hope in a generation that will feed the poor and decrease the level of poverty. I have hope. I have hope in a generation that will lend a helping hand to the elderly and alleviate this name nursing homes, because we have an obligation, and not just any type of obligation, but a moral obligation to the ones who fed us when we were hungry, to the ones who changed our diapers when we were uncomfortable, to the ones who checked us into hospitals or the doctor's office when we were sick, to the ones who stayed up with us all night when we didn't feel like going to sleep, to the ones who were removing flies from our faces when we were incapable of going like this. I have hope. I have hope in a generation that will make sure their neighbors at night don't go to sleep on an empty stomach, regardless of their religion, because that is what Islam, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and God has commanded us to do. I have hope. I have hope in a generation that will not only stroke the head of an orphan, but also take the form of being a parent. I have hope. I have hope in a generation that will remove the AK-47s in the hands of our young boys back home in Somalia and replace them with books and pencils. I have hope. I have hope in a generation that will go to every village, knock on every door, grab a young girl's hand and teach her how to read and write. I have hope. I have hope in a generation that will stand and call for peace. I have hope. I have hope in a generation that will turn the page on the old Somali-style politics and eliminate this 4.5 Somali structured government and say enough is enough. I have hope. 10 years ago, my fellow friends, I had a dream. But tonight, I have hope. I have hope in a forgotten generation. And with all this to be done, I completely understand. We will need a sense of urgency, a new direction, and a whole lot of patience. But it can be done, and God willing, it will be done. My fellow Somalis and non-Somalis, each and every one of us has an important role to play. It is imperative that we all get involved in our communities and give whatever time we have to the community that gave to us when we were in need. And in your communities, I say to you what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has says in His Quran. Let there arise of you a group of people inviting to all that is good, enjoining and forbidding what is bad, and it is they who are successful. As Somalis, as African Americans, we have got to say to our kids that yes, bigotry and hate is still alive in our time. Yes, there are a few out there who do not want to see someone succeed because of his or her race, gender, religion, or religion. Yes, if you come from a low-income area, your chances will not be the same as another child who comes from a middle-class or high-class income area. Yes, as an immigrant with limited English, you will be in a separate program called ESL. And yes, there will always be those who say you can't, but that should not be a reason to start cutting classes or dropping out of school. That should not be a reason to join gangs or to become the #1 bully. It should be more of a reason to become the best of the best. It should be more of a reason to become the next valedictorian in your class. It should be more of a reason to turn back and tell those people who told you you can't Yes, I did. It should be more a reason to go on to college and become a doctor, lawyer, engineer, scientist, teacher, politician, and even the president of the United States of America. I beseech with each and every one of you all to write your own history before someone writes yours. You and only you are in control of your destiny. Do not let anyone else take charge of that. If you become a failure, it is because of the poor choices you made. And if you succeed, it is because of you. Each and every one of you all here has the potential to become the leaders of America. And I urge you all to start now, not tomorrow, not next week, not next month, not next year, but now. Where does that start? It starts with going to school, getting educated, and getting involved in your communities in a positive manner. Be positive and stay positive, because with negativity comes failure. If you are negative, you are bound to fail. I stand in front of you all because I have great confidence that there are Somalis out there who want to see Somalia take its rightful place among the independent nations in the world. I want to initiate a dialogue, not a debate, on the pros and cons of Zionism, to see whether it has outlived or its relevance or not. I want to see an intellectual discourse, the likes of which are not found among most Somalis. No name-calling, no backbiting, no raving, no hatred talk. And with all this to be done, we must have courage and vision. The vision to see an educational opportunity, and the courage to follow our hearts and dreams and goals. My fellow friends, let us be citizens who have a vision to see beyond the obvious. Let us have a plan, but most importantly, a plan to pursue or it's meaningless. Let us learn from the past so we can make the right decisions in the present and build bridges in the future. I have a special place in my heart for education and the young who are unable to reach their goals due to warlords who only see one thing in mind or two: power and money. So I say to those African leaders today, we are tired of tribal leaders. And yes, the Somali leaders are included. We are tired of tribal leaders, we are tired of warlords, and we are tired of power-hungry people. We are in need of educators who are willing to stand up and call for justice, who are willing to stand up against human rights violation, who are willing to cater the needs of their citizens, and who are willing to be a voice for the voiceless. Our brothers and sisters and mothers have had it. Enough is enough. I always hear the youth are the leaders of tomorrow. Well, I got news for those folks. I stand in front of you all today and say with pride, we are the leaders of today and tomorrow. But let me just remind you, the roads are too narrow, the times are too tough, the stakes are too high, the educational rate is too low, the poverty and violence back home is too much. Nonetheless, we are a generation who will and can succeed, and we will help our brothers and sisters back home in Somalia. And I say to my fellow Somali brothers and sisters, even though we are thousands of miles away, we deeply care for you, and not only are we ready to help, but we are ready to lead you all once more. A great African proverb states, if you educate a man, if you want to go quickly, then go alone. And if you want to go far, then go together. So I say, let us go together. Let us move quickly, but together. Some of you here might think of me as a politician, but I'm not. I'm an educator. I'm not a debater, but rather a communicator. And I'm definitely not a follower, but rather a leader. So I am pleading with you all to do the same and be the same. Become leaders of your own communities and not followers. And always remember, لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not burden someone more than they can bear. I would like to conclude with this, and I want every young person here today, especially my generation, to listen to what I'm about to say. And to the ones who are not with us today, is the camera rolling? The time has come for us to change the road that our parents have been traveling on for quite some time now. I need you all hypothetically to change routes and keep hitting that gas pedal. And if a cop is behind you, it's not the cop. It's your mom, your dad, your uncle, the older generation that wants to give you a ticket for moving forward. So I say this with all seriousness. We have created, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, we have created you from a male and female and made you into nations and tribes so you may know one another, not despise one another. This ayah is what you have to wake up on and what you have to sleep on. If I have said anything wrong today or anything that has offended anyone, it is due to my ignorance and I sincerely apologize. And if I have said anything right, it is due to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And let it be said by the future generation that when we were tested, not only did we deliver, but we outshine in delivering. Thank you. Say Somali.